what they own. We got to see what they own. We got to find out what they own. Look like that's what they own. We got to see what they doing on Judge Mathis. Like, comment, sub. You know what it is. Tap in. Bigger play. Right here at you. I need y'all to tap in. Let me see what they doing on Judge Mathis. They say they fighting. What they doing fighting? Let's see what they doing.
In this video, we've compiled the best fights on Judge Mathis. Without further ado, let's get started.
Crystal has a very, very nice, soft voice, but she's something else. She fights everywhere.
Tangela Holloway appeared on the show to state her case against her former friend, Crystal Davis. Tangela's argument revolved around the notion that Crystal had a temper and could lose her mind and start fighting someone. Tangela revealed to the courtroom multiple incidents of Crystal's bouts of anger and violence. A notable example was when Crystal beat up both her boyfriend and a random woman when the woman flirted with her man. When given the chance, Crystal responded to Tangela's statements.
She is no angel. When we go to the club, she is crunked up. She goes from a 0 to 100. This lady right here is putting on a show in this courtroom, trying to act like I'm the bad guy.
Despite it not being the focus of the case, both ladies' arguments centered around destroying each other's character in the eyes of the court. When Judge Mathis had heard enough...
Man, Judge Mathis a fool. He can't even take it. He tripping on him.
Enough of the mudslinging, he shifted the discussion to the reason for the lawsuit.
I loaned her $900.
For what? To get out of jail?
No.
What?
Unpaid rent. That didn't happen yet. Unpaid rent.
And when was she to repay you?
In 1 month.
Along with the unpaid loan, Tangela was suing her former friend for emotional distress she had experienced from not having the money Crystal owed her. When Tangela had said her piece, Mathis let Crystal defend herself against the accusations.
Next agreement that we made, we had a verbal agreement that I would pay her after I gotten a job because I lost my job in August. I have not yet gotten a job, so I don't owe her that money. She verbally...
You said verbal. You had a written agreement as well?
Well, we don't have a written agreement on that.
Tangela immediately responded to Crystal's statement, presenting a promissory note between the two of them. Things weren't looking good for Crystal, but Tangela wasn't free from fault either. The judge eventually announced his verdict.
It has to be a direct connection. It can't be, well, I couldn't buy my makeup, so I didn't look good. You can't attribute all of that of someone to pay a debt they owe you. Have a good day. Judgment, however, for $900.
I met Cedric 5 years ago, and Cedric is the person right there is not. He's a fraud. He was a loving, nice, holy guy, and I thought maybe I need someone like that in my life to motivate me, to inspire me to do better. Our first date was a red flag.
Paris White entered Judge Mathis's courtroom in order to sue his ex-boyfriend, Cedric Prince. He told a story of how their first date ended in disaster, but they eventually reconnected and became a couple. On his turn to talk, Cedric told the court about what he believed to be his issues with Paris.
Paris living in a fantasy world, Your Honor. I just want Paris to grow up and be a man that pageant miss won't pay our bills. Okay, he said that's the reason how he get his money. I haven't seen the money yet, Your Honor. Paris stopped paying bills when we moved in together.
That's a lie.
Paris said that what Cedric said was nothing but a lie. Cedric responded by calling Paris a cheater and a fraud, revealing his suspicions that Paris was cheating on him with groupies. Mathis eventually shifted the focus of the conversation to the reason for the lawsuit.
I come and eat, Poppy! Going loco, I'm like, what you mean? I come over, it's a barbecue grill with my stuff inside of it.
Cedric had destroyed some of Paris's property that he dedicated hours of effort on. Paris believed that what Cedric did was an act of jealousy and insecurity. Cedric, however, believed that he was justified in what he did.
Why don't you think you should pay?
I don't think I should pay because for 3 years, I've been footing everything.
So you said those were your clothes.
Those were my clothes.
Paris responded to Cedric's testimony by submitting a video as evidence to the court. He did this to illustrate the physical damage he experienced through his burnt clothes as well as emotional distress.
You mess up my stuff that I worked hard for, that I paid for, I sacrificed. When I'm home and I don't have no money, I go out there and I get it.
Cedric's rebuttal to Paris was that he believed he was owed monetary compensation for everything he had bought in the 3 years he stood by and supported Paris, who didn't make a lot as an entertainer. However, the judge pointed out that Cedric wasn't appearing in the court to sue for money, but rather for emotional distress. He eventually had no choice but to declare his verdict.
Suing about emotional distress because you know you probably can't prove that money. Is that what you want to lay your claim on?
You know, he got his little pity for it.
He won't answer the question.
Answer the question.
Non-responsive to the question, so that I can't grant you a judgment. $3,000 is your judgment.
Yes,
your
man.
is dismissed.
Boy, don't go in there playing with Judge Greg Mathis. He ain't gonna play with you. Fucking
unresponsive.
We're here today because me and her ex-husband was in love at a point in time. I can't keep dealing with this woman. Whenever she drinks, she comes bothers me. She'll say, "You're laying next to my husband."
Selvina Natal Knox was suing a woman who was married to her ex-boyfriend. She claimed that she was constantly harassed because of her previous relationship with the man. Selvina then revealed to the court that the man she had a relationship with before was also harassing her.
I don't go and bother him. He comes and bother me, and I have proof of that as well. Then once she started harassing me, I put him out. He'll keep coming back. Be dealing with the mess that I'm dealing with behind this one.
Selvina implied in what she said that the defendant's husband was still in love with her, which is what she believed was the reason she was being harassed. Later, the defendant got the chance to plead her case.
This woman is a married woman.
You're married right now?
We've been separated for 2.5 years.
He was moving in with her because she was agreeing to buy him a car and drugs and give him money. I filed for a divorce. He came back.
All right, he just stop in when he wants.
Cannot stop in when he wants.
When the other woman was done speaking, Selvina talked more about the reasons why she was suing the defendant in the first place.
messy. Ooh, they just messy. Messy ass fucking.
Selvina told the judge that a protection order had been put on her, but since that order works both ways, the defendant had violated it multiple times in her acts of aggression towards her.
Call the police, tell them
Let's start with who violated the protection order first.
She did.
Call the police for what?
homemade cocktails at my house.
Give me another incident.
Kicking in my door. After that, I was at a mutual friend's house, which I have a witness statement. Jumped out the car with the box cutter.
Yeah, let me see that police report.
No, because I wasn't at home.
You don't have to be at home.
Selvina kept going on and on about various
No.
harassment.
Don't play with the judge. He gonna catch your line. He catch your line.
But the more she talked, more flaws in her logic came up.
Ooh, Lord.
The defendant responded by saying that everything Selvina claimed was done to her was actually things she herself had done. The defendant provided a video as evidence to support her claims.
Right here in this video is Miss Nathal Knox, and both vehicles are completely, totally damaged out. Imagine what she would do to me.
That wasn't you yet. You pled guilty.
She actually skipped town, and the only reason we got this case resolved is because they caught her on her bench warrant.
As the trial went on, it ironically seemed like the plaintiff was the actual guilty party.
Nasty.
She also kept bringing up irrelevant arguments that annoyed the judge to no end. This revelation was reflected in Judge Mathis's eventual verdict.
She said
Got all that. And your claim, ma'am, you obtained a conviction against her. So I will grant you your entire judgment, and I'll dismiss yours. Have a good day.
and James from 1999 to the early part of
You
2006.
can't play with the judge. Why you gonna go to court with your false evidence and then get caught up falsifying evidence? That means it's evident that you ain't relevant. And now you gonna set.
We dated. His son passed away. He got this lawsuit money. He just changed.
Money will change most people.
Therese McMore appeared before the judge with the intention of suing her ex-boyfriend, James Wilson, for unpaid child support. But
They look alike.
was discovered that she had taken too long to
Oh, I saw a little rump back there now. Hold on. We might have to bag up now.
actually put her ex on child support, and the child in question was already 18 years old at the time of the trial. Eventually, James was given the opportunity to make his testimony.
Me and Sharice met as an ex-stripper.
A good one, too.
That's what happened.
I knew what it was. I saw that rump. Man, James. I like her, James. What you doing? You took her to court? Why not just take her to the Okay.
I was locked up. I was incarcerated for a crime I didn't do. Told my mother to give her $2,000 for the first month rent, last month rent, and all utilities. Sharice didn't spend my money, and she was having a sexual relationship with my cousin.
This case quickly turned towards a crazy direction as it became evident that both parties had their own faults. James then gave the details of an incident when he tried to discuss the situation with Therese.
I went up to her house to discuss it with him.
You always hide.
Which somebody called the police. They ran everybody's license and stuff. They lock her up. As they taking her, look what your daddy did. I ain't doing none of that.
The events were becoming increasingly insane as the trial went on. Therese even accused James of using illegal drugs.
He snorts cocaine.
We both did.
Coming home, taking baby powder, putting it right here, making jokes about him snorting cocaine. That she was dead to him.
My daughter talked the day before I came here.
Hey, you threatened
I
her.
heard she was dead to you.
Dude, that's what she said.
When Mathis asked about the child support that James wasn't paying, it was found out that James didn't have the means to pay, even if he wanted to. That piece of information was factored into the judge's eventual decision.
You are currently delinquent, so how are you losing weight?
Came here to settle this.
All right, well, hurry up and get out of here. What claim is this?
You are a clown.
Calvina and her three youngest daughters stay with me, which is okay as long as I'm there. But it was times where I couldn't go to my doctor's appointments, do things that I needed to do because she wasn't there.
Shronda Oden entered the courtroom to sue a woman whose kids she was a babysitter for. She told Judge Mathis that while it was fine that she was asked to watch the children, her kindness was abused. It came to a point where she couldn't do things she needed to do anymore because the kids were always at her house and she didn't want to be irresponsible and leave them unsupervised. It also didn't help that the children were disrespectful to her. Shronda also threw out allegations of abuse between the woman's kids and her own son.
Then I inboxed just telling her like, okay, I don't mind you guys coming over here, but if he can't keep his hands off my son, then y'all gonna have to like stop it. So she said that it was gonna stop, it didn't.
Shronda asked the woman to keep her children in line, but nothing happened to her pleas. The judge then asked the defendant to tell her side of the story.
Pretty much asked me and opened up her doors to me and my children. I did work third shift, so I would leave approximately like 11 o'clock at night. About 2 weeks in, my children started stating to me that she would be doing petty things to them when I leave for work.
Despite the competing claims, Mathis asked Shronda to proceed with giving the details of the assault that was the main reason for the lawsuit.
On my way coming from the gas station, they rolled past me, they stopped and parked in front of my house. Alvina raised the window down and she said, let me get my kids' coats. I went upstairs, grabbed the coat. I opened the door and as soon as I opened the door, they rushed.
Shronda was clearly upset as she recounted what happened to her. Meanwhile, the defendant kept interrupting her.
She put me in the headlock. I was able to wrap her weave around her neck because they rushed me, so I'm on the door.
She a good liar.
Look at this. This is not a liar. Look at all of my hair.
To mace me and I was not going to let you mace me. You deserved it.
The defendant arrogantly admitted that she did in fact beat up Shronda, but insisted that she deserved it. She even showed a video of the fight, which ironically ended up helping Shronda win the case. Tempers often rise during the trials on the show. Click now to see the most heated moments on Judge Mathis.
It's the most heated with the most undefeated. Bigger play. Sub now.